What's up, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Mav Bites. This is the first one for 2024. And today we have Mr. Luis Cuellar with us. So happy you could join us. And it's a pleasure to have you here on Mav Bites. I can't say enough about the people that have been on Mav Bites. We appreciate them for being brave and coming here and kind of letting us share some time with them to learn more about them. And you're the first to do it this year. So thank you so much. I do want to extend the invitation to anybody interested in doing this with us. This is available to anyone. It is free of charge, and it's something that we think is important for our community so that we can get to know candidates and what it is that they stand for and what they plan to do with the position that they're running for. So if anybody, just reach out to our Facebook page. And if my name is Oscar Vasquez, I am your host, so you can find me anywhere in town. I live here in Pearsall, and also my partner who I do this with, Matthew Aguilar. You can reach out to us on any of our social media, on Facebook, Instagram, even Twitter. But having that said, Mr. Cuellar, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you're running for. You have the floor.
Okay, appreciate that. First, I want to say thank you, Oscar and Matthew. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here. What a great service to be able to speak in public and get some points across and actually sell. That's what it is. I've got to let everyone know who I am and what my intentions are. I really appreciate the opportunity. Such a professional setting. I like this. The studio looks great. It feels very professional. I like this. It's and like I said, I really appreciate the opportunity. Like you mentioned, my name is Luis Cuellar. I'm running for Frio County Commissioner, Precinct 1. Myself, I just consider myself a simple person with family beliefs. Everything I do is for my family. I was born in Lubbock, Texas, to George and Santos Cuellar. Both of my parents have passed on, but they're from Pearsall. I was born in Lubbock and then raised in Pearsall, Texas, all my life, my entire life. I've always lived here, with brief breaks with employment opportunities that I've had at the state and federal level. I moved my family around a little bit, but of course made my way back to our hometown of Pearsall, Texas.
Cool. So how many years would you say you've been here?
If with the breaks and whatnot, put them together, I'm 49 years old. So with all the breaks and stuff, I would say, I don't know, it's hard to tell. I mean, once I break everything down, I would say most of my life. Yeah. So a good portion of it, 35 years or something like that.
So you got to go to school here in Pearsall?
Yes, absolutely. I'm proud to be a Maverick. Class of 1993. Go Mavericks. So yes, I'm very proud of where I came from, where I went to school, my roots, and I attended a college also for law enforcement before attending federal law enforcement training centers. Mm-hmm. So, I'm very proud of my roots, of where I come from and our community. Mm. That's one of the things that, many people will say that they'll never come back to Pearsall and whatnot. Mm. But here they are coming back because they're used to what the home life is here in Pearsall. Family oriented. Everybody pretty much knows everybody. Mm. So that's one of the decisions that me and my wife made, was to move back to our hometown, and make a living with our family. Because if we loved it, then I know our kids will love it. And sure enough, my kids did the same. All of them graduated from Pearsall. I have one senior right now, my baby. She's a senior. But my other kids, which my oldest is Matthew Cuellar, and then Marcus Cuellar right behind him, and then Andrea Cuellar, and then my youngest daughter, Daniela Cuellar. Those are our kids. Between me and my wife, Cristina Salinas Cuellar, high school sweethearts, of course. We've been married 29 years. So awesome. They circled through their trade schools or colleges and universities and came right back. came right back where their roots started too. So that's one of the things that's keeping me motivated, where I'm going and what I think I need to contribute to the community. Is it's important, like I mentioned at the beginning, that my family is very important to me, and what kind of standards do we live by, and what does our community need to make it better for everyone. So at a start, I would say for my family, but really and truly, it's for everybody's family. Yeah, everybody that lives in Frio County. That's what I feel is very important for me.
That's awesome. What can you say about Pearsall and how it's changed over the years?
Over the years,
Pearsall, and I guess I would say Frio County, in general. How much has that changed?
I do see that some of the rural areas like a Bigfoot and Moore and Derby, they've expanded. And people are looking for, I feel that people are looking, if it's available, resources outside in the ranch life. Everybody, wants to explore a little bit and have property. Everybody dreams of having their own property and whatnot. And so you see some of these rural areas of Frio County that they're starting to expand. More communities are going up and whatnot. And which, that's nice. That's nice. And to be able to do that and in such a great place, we have a great place in Frio County to bring families, raise families, not just because you were born or raised here, but you start recruiting people to come into our community. I think that's important also. Some of the things that, just a little example is like the multi-million-dollar corporation that was brought into town many years ago, the Geo Group, that is still streaming now with employment because it's a moneymaker. It's a big company, and families were brought into Frio County like that. So that's part of the future. And I know it might be, you might ask another question down the show, but that's one of the things that makes it important to for our community to grow is you need businesses. You need to grow with the bigger and better businesses.
I wanted to ask also about Precinct 1. That's I think it's the biggest precinct, isn't it?
Yes.
When I see the map, it's pretty large, and it encompasses other towns. What can you tell us about the other town?
Well, it goes into Derby.
It goes into Derby, right?
It goes into Derby, yes. It does go into Derby, and pretty much,
I would say that's one of the communities you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's coming up.
Yes, and what's unique about Derby is it's faces challenges out there. My mother, the late Santos Cuellar, she used to live out there, and when my dad passed away, and so there was many challenges. When you look at the community now, and there's several houses out there. Well, back in the day, there was one trailer house, and my mom lived out there. Of course, I was already off to college and whatnot, and lived out of town. So she lived out there, and she was faced with many challenges out there. I can be very specific with one issue that has still bothered me today is the water issue, water well issues and whatnot. I faced these, 20 something years ago, and we have issues that are happening like that still, even today. And, I want to point something out today, while I was over there, watching my booth and the early voting going on right now. Even today, I am not an elected official yet, but I received a phone call today that the water well storage tank in Derby was spilling over. Well, that's one of the things that needs to be addressed. I immediately got on the phone. Luckily, one of the commissioners, incumbent commissioners, that's also running for re-election, he was next to me. I advised him of the phone call I got, and he immediately got some attention out there. But that is a perfect example of what I'm trying to bring up, that it's not being maintained the way it should be. And so that's waste right there, because the water well was running nonstop. Who knows for how long? But when I received that phone call, I took immediate action and got it resolved to make sure they shut it off, because it was evident they had problems out there. That storage tank was spilling over, not knowing how many thousands of gallons were spilled over. I can't verify that. I just had a video and a picture of the water spilling over. And so I'm sure it was addressed, but like I said, I don't know how long it was like that. So those are challenges ahead of us, but I feel that I can address them, because I've already been in that situation dealing with my mom's heartaches out there.
Yeah, you almost firsthand experience there.
For sure.
Yeah, dealing with it. What do you do for a living, and what is your favorite thing about it?
I I come from a law enforcement background, straight out of high school. Like I mentioned, I was going to college for law enforcement. I come from the background of law enforcement, starting from corrections. I started in corrections at the private in our own little county jail, way back in the day when it was called Dove Development. So I was a very young person, jailer, working for the county jail. And from there, I progressed on to the state level, state prisons, went to open up one of the most dangerous and maximum security prisons in Texas, which was in Beeville.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, that's when my son Matthew was born. So that was pretty tough, where we opened up that prison in Beeville, called the McConnell Unit. It's still one of the most dangerous prisons in Texas.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
From there, I jumped to the federal level and went to United States Penitentiary in Beaumont, Texas, also another maximum security prison. After that, went Border Patrol.
Wow.
After and traveled, in between, I'm getting all this training that is, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so after Border Patrol, we were recruited back to the multi-million-dollar company that I told you about, the Geo Group. Both my wife and I were recruited as supervisors with our experiences. Her in food service, and then mine in corrections, and also being a federal agent, we picked up a federal contract with detention here in Pearsall. Did many things, real great things at the Geo Group. I'll probably go in more in detail later about that. But currently, also left the Geo Group to take over my father-in-law's company, which is a real reputable company. 39 plus years, almost 40 years in service as an electrical contractor.
Okay.
So First Day One Electric, very proud of that. So took over that company, and that's what I currently do. I'm an electrician and specialize in the oil field.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So a pretty lengthy career in law enforcement in that industry, right? And then you jumped over to running this electric company.
Yes, sir.
And that's
Yes, sir.
that's what you do now currently.
Yes, sir. And I had a very good mentor, a very good master electrician that showed me, everything that I know today, and great employees too. My father-in-law was a master electrician, and so, I give him all the credit, for what we have today. Really, really appreciate that.
Wow, that's quite a career there. You mentioned how you were attracted to this place because of the way that, I guess Pearsall being in Frio County, you wanted to raise your family here. And that was your biggest push to coming back. But what brought you to the decision of running for Frio County Commissioner for Precinct 1 now? Why is now?
Well, like one of the things that I mentioned early on was everyone that are, pretty much everyone that's a parent is going to tell you the same answer. Everything we do each and every day, from morning to sundown before we go to bed, everything we do is for our family. Family first. So in that sense, if I'm looking out for my own family, I know what other people are concerned about their families. So I've got to treat everybody like they're our family in the whole entire Frio County, not just Precinct 1, because it's not about one precinct. Believe me, it's not. It's you've got to be on a unified team, solid team, with all the commissioners and the great judge that we have now. But it's one of the things that, hey, you've got to take into heart and put all your dedication into it, that you're treating everything that you do, you're treating it like if it was your family. The betterment of everybody, not just my family. That's the start, but that's how I treat it. Like, would I want my family to be treated like that, or be missing out on these things because they didn't work hard enough, or they didn't pursue things the right way? No. So that's the way I look at it, that, hey, it's important to me that we treat each other like family, the entire community. The betterment of everybody.
A lot of love for the community.
Absolutely. You have to.
So what makes you a good leader for your precinct, for our county?
What makes me a good leader, and I'll just say, it's not just for our county, for our precinct, like you mentioned, it is for the county, is got to be the skills that you bring to it. Okay. And to be an effective leader, you've got to have, if anybody tells you that there's nothing to it, That's a lie. Okay, you've got to have the skills, and either you got them from training or from being mentored or whatnot. But great communication skills will take you a long way. If you can efficiently communicate with somebody, then you can accomplish a lot. You can accomplish a lot. Well, one of the things that I'm very proud of is the amount of training that I've gotten. This is not something that I just say. I love to talk and whatnot. I was trained, through supervisor training, leadership training, conferences that I attended at all levels. I've attended private conferences at the private level, private corporations, and then also state level training. And the most, what's the top that you can get? It's federal level training. And I've gotten those trainings. I've gotten those training courses, and I'm proud of that. That I think that's what makes me a great leader, is being able to communicate, comprehend, and also, be able to present. And once you comprehend, be able to present reasonable solutions. Be able to come up with a solution. Nobody wants to hear, this is the problem. Okay, now let's y'all find the solution. This is what I have to offer. That I know I can identify the problems. And if I need to collaborate with everybody else, then yes, let's do some. But my point is I can bring solutions to the table. I like to refer back to the private group under the federal contract, the GEO group, because I did manage the most amount of people at that level. Like I mentioned, my wife and I came here as supervisors to Pearsall. And so I did my time on the floor as a supervisor, shift lieutenant in security. And then I rose through the ranks pretty quickly. So, and I was proud of that because I'm a local person, and we had employed a lot of people from out of town, but for the most part, I would say more than half of the people there were from home, from Pearsall or the surrounding areas. So, I was proud of that moment when I was, afforded that position that, hey, we want to move you up. So my next position, I rose through the ranks. The next position was at corporate level. So immediately from there, I mentioned that at the forum. I don't know if you listened to segments of that, but I mentioned at the forum that, I was part of two people, one of two people that was promoted to start a brand new company for the GEO Group, which was called GTI. It was Geo Transport Incorporated. And it was just me and a vice president. So he told me, here you go. We're going to hit the ground running, DOT training, whatnot. We're going to be moving prisoners. It's a transport company. And it's me and you to start this. It's going to be a landmark event. And sure enough, it did. Before you know it, we hired over 500 people nationwide, over 50 supervisors. And then we had to outfit all the facilities that we had there. And I'm talking about from the Northwest all the way to New York, down to Florida and all of Texas, every region, 3 regions. And I was in charge of that. And so that's one of the things that, I could go to the smallest prison in anywhere, one of the smallest ones we've had in the country, and then go to the largest one, and I could still efficiently do my job and get others to do the job too. There was times that I would show up because I was corporate level. I'd have to wear a tie and coat and whatnot and show up, do my tour and whatnot. But before you know it, I was shedding off that tie and I was scrubbing buses just with my managers and my officers, and they respected that. And that's how I got through people. Yeah. And I take great pride that we had one of the largest transport companies in the nation. And what I mean by that is not by size necessarily, but by operations. Yeah. Here in Pearsall alone, we were moving up to 1,000, if not 1,200 people in a night. And sometimes, I had great officers here. I had them all over the place, but here, that operation was huge. We were moving people in a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, moving them from here to other countries. Of course, shipping them out from San Antonio Airport. But I'm talking about like 3 or 4 bus loads at a time, and we were moving a lot of people. Yeah. So that's why I know that I could be a great leader and great asset to Frio County. I have a lot to offer, and going back to my days, like I mentioned, is effective communication.
Yeah. It says a lot that how fast you moved through the ranks, and what it sounds like they liked you so much that they wanted you to help them launch that new branch that you mentioned.
Absolutely. I still, funny story, I still get phone calls every now and then from fellow coworkers that want me to go back, of course, and
Yeah.
they know what I was about. Something that I take. Another thing that I like to mention is as far as responsibilities, we used to move people from, and people didn't know this because it was done like at dawn when everybody's asleep and whatnot. But we would move people from inmates from Denver to Alaska and Alaska back to Denver by airplane, like a Con Air operation, 747 and jets and whatnot, and nobody knew.
Wow.
But I had highly trained, skilled officers that I recruited nationwide, teams of like 15. And so we would move, hundreds of inmates across in the middle of the night. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That entire industry is like a whole other world.
Oh, it is. It's
way it
very
operates.
dangerous because we can't carry weapons on board. But, we've got to use other techniques and whatnot. But, that kind of an operation speaks volumes because there's a lot of trust of what can go wrong and what cannot go wrong, if you do the job right. So I had a lot of trust in me, and I had great people working for me. People, I had stacks of people lining up that wanted to work and be in that same operation. So I feel that those are traits that I can bring in. People want to work with you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is your vision for Precinct 1? Or where do you see Frio County in 10 years from now?
Well, it's unfair for me to say what I would do as a commissioner because I'm not in there yet. I see what's going on right now and where I know I could be a valuable and useful tool and resourceful person for the county. But how I see it right now is that we have good people in office, great people that I can communicate with. I've already been communicating with, and that's what motivated me to move forward and try to get elected and run a successful campaign because, I like the people that are working there now. Nothing against our incumbent. It's just one of the things that I know that I can do a better job than our incumbent. And so that's what's motivating me to work with the other individuals. One of the things that, coming from this kind of environment, technical, modern technology and whatnot, because I really appreciate what you guys have here. This is all modern technology stuff. So one of the things that we have at our county level and our county clerk's office is anybody can tune in and look at previous commissioner court meetings and just click on the date that you want to see what was said and how it was said and what went on in that meeting. So one of the things that I did is I went back through every segment. Believe it or not, I went back through every segment. And I want to say like 4 years of segments and just studied and even speaking with my wife, she would say, are you looking at that stuff again? And it was entertaining for me because I say entertaining to the sense because I know I can do a better job, but just viewing and it being available for anybody, the general public, to log on there and click for themselves and see, okay, what kind of participation are we getting from the incumbent of Precinct 1? What kind of participation are we getting? What kind of topics is he mentioning? Are they on topic or are they off topic and whatnot? Also, the lack of a participation. What kind of solutions are being brought through, and the layout of our commissioner's court. If anybody that clicks on there, the far left is Commissioner Precinct 1, 2, our judge, 3, and 4. Okay, so far left, you can see for yourself, witness yourself that, what I say is the lack of participation.
And this is available for anybody.
Absolutely.
To go.
It's one of them things that, hey, our county is moving forward. Great technology. My hat's off to the county's county offices and county clerk's office. Mr. Ibarra, he was one of the ones that implemented that stuff, and so it's available. Also, I encourage people to look on commissioner courts when they can't see it in like a previous one. They can see it live. They can tune in there and see it live. You can see it, and you don't have to talk. You don't have to say anything. You can view and make your own assumptions because you're seeing everything factual. Live.
And this is all found on the website?
On the Frio County webpage.
Okay. Cool. How do you plan to address specific challenges within Precinct 1? I guess, you kind of mentioned the water issue in Derby, and do you want to share more about that?
Well, one of the things that I think is very important, and then I believe it's very important, is you've got to do your research. You've got to do the research and see, are we moving forward? Have we progressed? Or are we not doing anything? And so one of the things that I feel is very important is, if elected, let's just refer to it, if elected. That's how I want to view this question, is I need to see if the previous commissioner addressed the issues, ignored the issues, or took no action on it. So it's very important that, hey, to move forward, we got to fix what was on the table first. Did it get addressed right? Did it just get a Band-Aid? How was it fixed? I don't need something to be reoccurring. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. No false promises. So my thing is you've got to do your research, your due diligence. You've got to do that. Prime example out there in Derby is one of the things that I've been harping on over and over and over is the maintenance of that water well. That is privately owned. Now, I can tell you from firsthand experience that it's not being maintained the way it should be. It's privately owned. It's a service, so the Derby residents have to pay for that service. Oh, wow. So if we were to enforce that a little bit harder, things could get fixed and updated to a standard that it's not going to go down. Or you have a backup plan to let's get it fixed. I guarantee it happened back then, and I haven't heard of it recently, but it's happened in the past that they don't have any water for a while or very low water pressure. Wow. Another example out there in Derby is like the security light issues, that they've been working on. It's one of the things that is important because it's a deal with AEP and whatnot, the light company, but you still have to do your legwork. It's not like, hey, we're gonna get so many fixed in precinct 1, 2, 3, and 4, and here's the money and it's gonna get done. No, there's stuff that's involved with that easement. Make sure that all the easements are cleared and whatnot, and in what direction they're gonna be facing. You've got to be involved. You can't just put it on another precinct or expect somebody else to pick up that legwork. You've got to do your job. And those are things that I feel that should have been addressed a long time ago. So like you mentioned, how do I envision it moving forward and whatnot, is do the research. What is important? What needs to get done? I don't want to keep going round and round with things like that weren't done. And, I'm thinking about the future. Yeah. What are my plans? Because, that's what I feel is important, is what is my plan to move forward and whatnot. But, perfect example, also the paving of the roads. I would not consider that an accomplishment. Yeah. Paving roads is not an accomplishment. Is it needed? Yes. But that's a yearly budget thing. Like, that's the taxpayers paying for that service. Okay, they pay their taxes. They expect it to be done. Just so you know, paving roads, I don't have an exact figure, but they're expensive, very expensive. So I will never take credit for saying I paved this road, I paved that road. It's never an I. It's a team effort,
and it's
to get it
that
done.
It has to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's not an accomplishment, if you ask me. Paving of the roads, they've got to be upkept. So if you have a 4-year term, you better shoot for doing at least 2 or 3 roads, every year. That's a goal. That's something that you can be proud of. Yeah. Yes, sir.
And I guess Derby is an extreme, for their situation, being kind of secluded and then their own little spot.
But they're growing.
They're growing.
Yeah. So
I guess the roads kind of applies to the Pearsall area too, right?
It does. Yeah. It does. I mean, it can be anywhere even within the city limits. Excuses have been made in the past that, hey, that belongs to the city, doesn't pertain to me. I'm a county commissioner. That's not how you should be approached to that. You get into a local agreement, interlocal agreement with the city. It can be worked out. It can be worked out, but you got to do your work. You've got to do your part. Don't just pawn it off on the people and say, I tried my best, but the city don't want to fix it. There's proper ways of communicating. The city wants the city officials want the betterment of Pearsall too. And just like the Frio County officials want to do the same too.
I guess I wanted to mention the specific challenges in Precinct 1. And I feel like you're touching on something that's in my opinion crucial, the collaboration between the city and the county. You know, I like your mentality on what you're sharing on that. How things can be fixed when you figure it out, you know, when you talk to each other,
yes,
city
sir.
and county. It seems like in the things that I've witnessed, you know, in just the couple of years that I've been more involved, paying attention, really, a lot of the issues can be addressed simply by sitting down and having a conversation with everybody that lives here, you know. And it just seems like back in the day, growing up, hearing things, it's like things didn't happen. Kind of sounds like just because they weren't sitting down at the table together, you know?
Exactly.
Having a conversation like, hey, let's fix this. You'll cover this end. We'll get this end. That's teamwork, you know?
Yes,
so, I really like what you're talking about there. And I guess,
if I can add something on that, Oscar.
Sure, go ahead.
I really appreciate that you kind of handled it in that direction, because you're absolutely right. Having, you know, an efficient and effective line of communication is very, very important to get things done. Mm-hmm. Referring back to our incumbent, and I can give you a perfect example that's facts for everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not dirty politics or anything, but everybody can see it on the paper. That's not how you communicate with the city. Okay, communication between the county and our incumbent and our city manager, a lot of it's taking place over the paper. Mm. You know, anybody can see it. So if you go onto the paper and you see one of those corner sections and you say, it states very clearly, I tried to get a hold of the city manager, I had no response, and kind of like justifying things, actions and whatnot. But that's not an efficient line of communication. You don't do it on open paper like that. Mm. Take the courtesy, go meet the person in person. Or if you think that's not going to, if they're not available, send an email, a phone call, whatever it takes. But newspaper to communicate to a person, that's not an effective line of communication right there, if you ask me. Mm. And I know a lot of people agree with me, because it's been brought up to my attention. Mm. Hey, can you point this out? Because this is not working out. One, it doesn't look professional either. Mm-hmm. This is not how we do professional business. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not about he said, she said, and whatnot on a local paper. Mm-hmm. Handle it like adults. Let's go straight to the source. How are we going to fix this? I'm not going to hear any bickering or anything like that, bickering and whatnot. But I've got to talk to the city manager or whoever I need to get involved with to make sure we identify the problems and let's fix it. Yeah. There's solutions for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another, you highlighted another thing, the unprofessionalism sometimes of the people that get elected. And it shows when you start paying attention. You know, it shows. And I'm one to advocate for people. If they're going to represent us, they need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to hold themselves professionally and conduct themselves in a professional manner to everybody. You know, the people involved, to the people of the city, of the county, and then anything that they're going to be doing. If you're going to be on video, I need to be able to understand, and you need to be able to communicate what the community wants.
Absolutely.
You know,
politics is not for everybody. So, you know, a lot of people don't want that burden of the public eye and whatnot. I want to touch up on something there that you just mentioned. Besides being professional and communicating efficiently and whatnot, I want to bring something very important to like I said, I'm not playing dirty politics, but just today, done through the proper channels, you know, through the Open Records Act, filed paperwork through the courthouse, got approved, signed and whatnot, and received the information right back. Something that I wanted to bring up is the efficient communication is that our incumbent commissioner during budgeting sessions requested a translator at the taxpayer's expense. I have the official document that I received today from, like I said, public records. I received it today, thousands of dollars, taxpayers' dollars, because he wanted to have an interpreter during budgeting. So there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you need it, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that our county judge and the other commissioners approved it. They hired a company to bring in a translator for budgeting for our incumbent of Commissioner Precinct 1. But My point is, at the expense of a taxpayer, okay? Now, this is part of the qualifications. Can you understand and comprehend what's going on? Or you need a translator? And if that's the case, that was the only time the translator was used. Once again, like I said, you can mention, like I mentioned, you can go onto the website, the Frio County website, and look at all the previous commissioner court meetings, click on them, see if you see a translator there. There is not. On public record, I checked. That was the only time that a translator was used, at the expense of taxpayers' money. So does our incumbent commissioner fully understand and comprehend what's going on in every meeting? And if not, why did he not request a translator? So my point at all this is, like I said, not dirty politics, but is that a burden to the taxpayer? Absolutely. That's wasteful money. That's taxpayer money. That should never have happened. And that's one of the things that I bring. I can comprehend. I'm blessed that I can comprehend and understand in both languages. So right now, I would say that's a burden to our taxpayers. And if it's not, then can he comprehend what's going on in each and every session?
You mentioned earlier how the county has taken steps to provide these court sessions online on the website. What tools do you plan to use to improve the government services and communication for Precinct 1 residents?
It's making people aware of what's available and emphasizing where they can get the information from. It's not directing people and our citizens to, hey, that's not my problem. Go to that office. Go ask for yourself. It's directing them in the right direction. Where's that resource and information available? How can you go about it? And open line communication, making myself available either by phone, text, email, whatnot, or face to face, making myself available. That's very, very important. That's what you have to bring to the table, is not just one line of communication, which is a cell phone or in person, but modern technology is here and it's only progressing. So everything that you can offer from there and keeping up with the times is important. Very, very important. Like I can't mention enough how impressed I am with your studio. Every single device that's around us right now is modern. This is what it's all about.
We've pretty much reached the end of this interview here, but I want to give you the opportunity to say something to the community or anybody watching, most especially to your constituents of Precinct 1. So there's a camera right here if you want to address them.
Sure.
Anything you might want to tell them.
And I want to say thank you very much once again.
Sure
thing. To you, Oscar. You mentioned, and Matthew, y'all mentioned that this is available to anybody, and it's a great resourceful tool to be able to come on here and tell the people what is it that you're about, who you are, and where you come from, and where you intend to go. One of the things that I want to mention in closing is that this is a selling point. What do I have to offer that the incumbent does not? So those are things that I think is important, as far as mentioning to everyone that, hey, if you vote for me, I want everybody to understand that, hey, I'm going to work as hard as I need to work to get the job done. It's easy to say that, hey, this person is going to do this and do that and whatnot, but you've got to be committed to what you say you're going to do. No false promises. Another example I want to mention, and once again, it's not dirty politics, but one of the other things that I want to mention, and it was in public information, it came out in our paper this past week. Our incumbent, he promised a water well, security lights, and some other stuff in the public paper by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. And that is a false promise. I can say that with factual information, that's possibly not going to happen, because the person that was responsible for that and it was a team effort type thing. It wasn't our incumbent commissioner from Precinct 1. So that is a false promise. That was a team effort, that was led by our county judge, and other commissioners, or all commissioners. But sadly, I can say that this past Friday, that grant was shot down. It was declined. So that is a false promise. You should never do that. You should never do a false promise to the public and feel so sure that something's going to take place when it's a work in motion. It was still lacking approvals, and it didn't come through. Now, I know that the Commissioners Court is going to work hard to reapply and see if we can get that happen, or by other means, see if that can happen. But to say that there's this timeline and schedule on that based on a grant that was applied for, it was rejected. So that's one of the things that I am not going to do. I will work hard, and I am determined and dedicated to what I need to get done for the community and for everyone, the betterment of everyone, but I won't give false promises. Nothing that I can't handle. Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for coming on here.
Great.
And we wish you so much luck.
Thank you very much. God bless you.